champ now.
Yes, I didn't see him. What are you looking so sad about, Champ?
I'm surprised at you. I mean, I'm really insulted. I mean, that's not right what you just said.
What do you mean, what I just said?
I mean, I'm get a drink of water. I'm late getting home, but you talk. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talk about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, Clay, during one time during my career, I went on a Bum of the Month tour.
Bum of the month? I would have been a bum compared to you.
Well, you've been on the tour.
Oh, man.
Watch this. A left-right combination by Rocky draws a beautiful left hook counter by La Starza. Oh, his man down. La Starza has been knocked down, but never out. As he himself puts it, I know how to get up. During this, and ducking under those shots by Marciano. Watch.
What's happening, my people? It's Cast Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. Now, as usual, before we get started, let me give a shout out to the JBT community. It's just boxing talk. We're a group of people who just love to talk boxing. And we're always looking for others to join us. And you don't have to be a content creator. The only requirement is you just have to love to talk boxing. That's all. Miss Cass, hashtag JBT, Mike Mazik. Salute, Mike. Salute to everyone. And welcome to another episode of Cass Sports, the Box Historian. Today, boxing in the States, Rhode Island. And you know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Box Historian, bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. How's everyone today? This is the Thursday afternoon edition of Cass Sports, the Box Historian. Getting late in the week, almost to the weekend, and more by boxing. Today we're going to continue the boxing in the States series. It's getting late in the boxing in the States series. We're up to R. Next week will be South Carolina. We're winding it down. But today we're just going to look at some boxing in Rhode Island, a little history, some other significant events that occurred concerning boxing in the state, and some boxers from the state. Okay, that's today on Cass Sports. Appreciate everybody that's in the building so far watching. Today on our highlights of boxing history, we are going to talk about the 13 best boxing countries in the world. And Rhode Island is going to be kind of a short one, so after we finish Rhode Island, we're going to talk about boxing around the world some more. So this show is going to be about Rhode Island and boxing around the world, okay? But we're going to start out with a highlight of boxing history segment to kick the show off with the 13 best boxing countries in the world, okay? Well, how's everybody today? And don't forget, tomorrow is the profile Friday. This week, it's the life and career of Sergey Kovalev, okay? Great boxer. Fought in that era when the big names were still fighting each other on a regular basis. And like I've been saying all week, Sergey has one of those Canelo resumes. That's a fire resume. Fought them all. Andre Ward, Tyson Fury, Canelo. I still can't remember if he fought Joshua or not, but I know he's got a lot of big names on his resume. We're going to find out about him tomorrow. The life and career of Sergey Kovalev, okay? But first, today, we start out with our highlights of boxing history. The 13 best boxing countries in the world, okay? Let's get started with that before we get to Rhode Island. This will take us up to about 2:30. Okay, so we're going to talk about, boxing around the world right now. See? Boxing in the States. Boxing around the world. Makes sense, right? Okay. 13 best boxing countries in the world. Okay. Let's get started. But how's everybody today? It's Thursday, getting close to another weekend. Man, these weeks fly by. Wow, I remember it was just Monday. Now it's Thursday. But hey, sign of the times. Okay, the 13 best boxing countries in the world. Highlights of boxing history. Let's do this. Now, boxing has a global presence, with several countries producing remarkable talent. Now, almost all the countries in the world are attached to boxing, one way or another. Okay, many with several one way or another. Now, many people from various countries practice boxing, and millions watch it. Boxing has been a pure form of combat sport for hundreds of years. Now, in a few countries, such as Mexico, boxing is considered the most important sport. The commitment and passion for boxing from the people of specific countries is a significant reason for nurturing top-level boxers. Now, the number of boxing athletes and the quality of their fighting styles put some countries above others. Okay? Now, boxing has been significantly enriched by nations like Venezuela, Colombia, and South Korea, each bringing unique contributions to the sport. Now, Venezuela has produced dynamic boxers like Edwin Valero and Leo Gomez, showcasing a tradition of hard-hitting, technically sound fighters. Colombia, with its legendary Kid Pembele and a continuous line of champions, exemplifies a blend of passion and skill that has captivated fans globally. South Korea deserves a place on the list with its historical dominance in the light flyweight division. Okay, so let's look at these. We're going to go from 13 to 1. Okay, we got 13. Of the best boxing countries in the world. Start at number 13, okay? Highlights of boxing history. 13, Colombia. Okay, Colombia. Now, Colombia has produced numerous world champions across various weight divisions, including Rodrigo Valdez, a two-time middleweight champion, and more recent talents like Elida Alvarez, who captured the WBO light heavyweight title. Now, the country's boxing culture is vibrant, with local gyms and amateur programs nurturing talent from grassroots levels, providing a steady pipeline of skilled fighters. Additionally, the national pride and support for boxing in Colombia fuel the sport's development, creating an environment where boxers are celebrated and motivated to achieve greatness on the international stage. Colombia. Okay. Number 12. Venezuela. Venezuela. These are 13 of the best boxing countries in the world. 12, Venezuela. Now, Venezuela has a robust grassroots system for boxing. The sport is deeply ingrained in the culture, with numerous amateur clubs and gyms that nurture talent from a very young age. This system not only focuses on physical training, but also on discipline and technique. Additionally, the Venezuelan Boxing Federation actively supports boxers with resources for training, travel, and international competition, giving athletes the opportunity to gain experience on a global stage. The country boasts a rich history in the sport, with legendary boxers like Edwin Valero, who is an undefeated WBA and WBC super featherweight champion, and Leo Torito Gomez, known for his multiple world titles in the light flyweight division. Okay? Number 11, South Korea. South Korea. South Korea has earned its reputation as one of the best boxing nations due to its storied history in the sport, particularly from the 1970s to the early 1990s, when it produced some of the most respected boxers on the international scene. Now, during this golden era, South Korean boxers like Jung Koo Chang, who defended his WBA light flyweight title 16 times, and Ya Myung Woo, a two-time WBA light flyweight champion. The country's success isn't just historical, it's also built on a strong amateur boxing foundation, which continues to develop new talent. Okay? Highlights of boxing history. We got 13 of the best boxing countries in the world. Number 10, how about Ukraine? Okay? Ukraine. Ukraine has produced some of the best amateur boxers in the world. However, many of them did not go professional, so a few boxers have won world championships. Now, the toughness and competitive spirit are the significant attributes of Ukrainian boxing. The likes of the Klitschko brothers, who ruled the boxing world in the last 2 decades with their immense knockout power, are hailed from Ukraine. And the rise of Oleksandr Usyk and Vasily Lomachenko have been eyewitnesses of the sport's passion in the country. Now, the current boxing scenario in Ukraine is greatly affected by the Russia-Ukraine war. However, with Usyk becoming undisputed with his wins over Tyson Fury, more attention has been brought to the war effort. Okay? Number 9, Cuba. Okay? You talk about boxing around the world. How can you leave out Cuba? Number 9, Cuba. Cuba could easily be in the top 5, but the Cuban government banned professional boxing for almost 6 decades, putting them in the 9th position. Now, the government lifted the ban in 2022, allowing more boxers to turn professional and win as many championships as their predecessors would have won. Now, the country's boxing community has been serving amateur boxing for years. It's time to provide professional stars for the sport. Cuba will be remembered as the best boxing country for centuries because they are second to the United States in winning gold medals in boxing. Okay? Number 8, Thailand. We're talking about some of the best boxing countries around the world, 13 of them today. Number 8, Thailand. Okay? Yes, Thailand. Great boxing country. Now, Thailand is well known for its Muay Thai traditions, but professional boxing became a big sport in the mid-20th century when Thai legends like Pong King Pech ruled the flyweight boxing division. In the latter half of the 20th century, it became a popular sport in Thailand. The traditional Thai training is modified in global boxing techniques to produce top-notch boxers in the country. The Western interest in learning the art of Muay Thai is significant in bringing much more interest to professional boxing among the Thai people. Okay, number 7, Argentina. Argentina, number 7. Some of the best boxing countries in the world. Boxing is deeply ingrained in the heritage of Argentina, as many legends have come through the ranks in the last century. Now, the 1960s and 1970s were the golden era of boxing in Argentina, as the legendary boxers King Carlos Monzon, Pascal Perez, Horacio Acavallo, and Victor Galindez made their presence felt on the international scene. Argentina Boxing Federation has been working for the development of the sport since 1920. Now, the ongoing legacy of Argentinian boxing is a testament to its enduring impact on the sport and the work previous boxers put into the sport to bring it to the top level. Argentina. Number 6, the Philippines. The Philippines, okay? Philippines is a great boxing country. Boxing holds a special place in the heart of the Philippines with a rich history and a cultural significance that extends beyond sports. This sport has been a major source of income for poor people. The life of Manny Pacquiao outside boxing serves as a significant example of overcoming poverty struggles in his journey to become one of the best boxer ever produced by his country. Although Manny became an international figure in the 21st century, boxing was a popular sport in the early and mid 20th century. The Philippines has a cultural sport with the name suntukan, or dirty boxing, which is done with bare hands. So the resilience and toughness of the Philippines boxer must have had a connection with dirty boxing. Okay? Number 5, Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico, okay? Talking boxing, how can you leave out Puerto Rico? That legendary Puerto Rico-Mexican rivalry. Okay, Puerto Rico. A small country producing as many world champions is an outstanding achievement. The importance of boxing to the country can be estimated because the government started providing pensions for boxers in 1996. The most iconic name in the history of Puerto Rico is Felix Trinidad, who is also known as Tito. The current boxing champions from the country are Amanda Serrano, Emmanuel Rodriguez, Oscar Collazo, and Subrio Matias. Puerto Rico. Number 4, talk about boxing around the world, Japan. Japan, okay? Now, Japan is among the biggest combat sports countries in the world, producing excellent talent in boxing, MMA, wrestling, and jiu-jitsu. Now, the jiu-jitsu and martial arts training made the Japanese fighters quick on their feet and precise with their strikes, taking their success to a higher level. Fighting Harada and Hiroyuki Ibehara revived the sport in Japan in the 1960s and 1970s. Naoya Inoue is the current undisputed super bantamweight champion and is regarded as one of the best pound-for-pound boxers in the world by many boxing experts and publications and fans. The monster. Okay. Number 3, the United Kingdom. Okay, United Kingdom. Boxing has a rich history in Great Britain, as London's Royal Albert Hall hosted one of the earliest recorded boxing events in 1867. The Marquis of Queensberry rules, which became the standard for worldwide boxing, were also drafted in London in 1867. Now, Ken Buchanan, Randolph Turpin, Ricky Hatton, and Joe Calzaghe lamented their names into the history of British boxing, but the legacy of Lennox Lewis immortalized the achievements of Great Britain in boxing. Tyson Fury, Callum Smith, and Anthony Joshua are the current superstars of Great Britain. Of course, coming in at number 2, Mexico. You're boxing around the world. Number 2, Mexico. Okay? Now, Mexico has been on par with the United States in terms of producing continuous top-tier boxing talent. The passionate boxing fan base in Mexico proved to be a great motivation in producing countless boxing champions. The fearless and high-speed brawling nature of Mexican boxers introduced a new style in boxing called the Mexican style. Julio Cesar Chavez is among the most iconic and successful boxers of all time. Chavez was the best pound-for-pound boxer in Mexico during his era. Okay, and finally, Mike Rim in the building. What's up, Mike Rim? Highlights of boxing history today is boxing. We had 13 of the best boxing countries in the world. We're down to number 1. And number 1, drum roll, please. The United States of America. Number 1. United States of America. Okay? And that's not just because I'm from the United States. Really, number 1. Okay? Now, the history of United States boxing is full of all-time greats of the sport. Oh, man. Bear with me for a minute. Down to the last one and start acting up on it. Maybe the United States not number one. Just blanked out on it. But I'll get it back. Okay. Yeah, number one, United States. Here we go. We're back. You had the 13 best. We're going to review them in a minute after I finish talking about the good old US of A. Number one in boxing around the world. They just went blank. Okay. Come on, United States. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. United States of America. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. Okay, now. The history of United States boxing is full of all-time greats of the sport. Boxing has had an enormous fan base in the United States since the start of the 20th century. Sugar Ray Robinson made boxing an attraction in the United States. However, Muhammad Ali took the sport to the mainstream level in the world of sports. After Ali, Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather Jr., and Evander Holyfield took the boxing world with full passion and made it a household name in the world. United States has 18 world champions right now, including top names like Terrence Crawford, Devin Haney, Devontae Tank Davis, okay? Yeah, those are the top 13 countries in boxing in the world right now. Let's review them. We got like 3 minutes. Number one, the United States. Number two, Mexico. Number three, United Kingdom. Okay. Coming in at number 4, Japan. Number 5, Puerto Rico. Coming in at number 6, we have the Philippines. Number 7, Argentina. Number 8, Thailand. Yes, Thailand. Number 10, Cuba. What had Cuba? It took so long to let those guys go professional. I think they did it, 2023, something like that. Yeah. Cuba would have been top 5, but it was just amateur for so long. Crush the Legend in the building. What's up, Crush the Legend? We did a little highlight of boxing history, was on the best 13 boxing countries in the world. Of course, the United States was number 1. And yeah, that's reviewing. Number 9 was Cuba. Cuba would have been higher, but they just started going professional in the last couple of years. That's what hurt them. Number 10 was the Ukraine. Okay, Usyk, Lomachenko, Klitschko's. Number 11, South Korea. Number 12 was Venezuela. And finally, number 13, Colombia. Okay. So now today's show is boxing in the States. Rhode Island. With Salute Crush the Legend. 6 o'clock a.m. Monday through Friday with the coffee and the donuts. Fire podcast. Okay. Yeah, Mike Mazik, Mike Rim is down with it. I always see them in the house in the mornings. Worth getting up for. Salute Crush. Okay, boxing in the States. Rhode Island. That's what we're doing today. Okay? Let me take a drink of my cooler. It's close enough to the weekend to be drinking a cooler at 2:30. Plus, I'm unemployed. I'm retired. Every day is the weekend for me. But it's all. I put my tools in there. 47 years. United States Air Force and state of Maryland. Okay, so I did my leg work. Okay, so let's talk about the boxing in the states, Rhode Island today. We winding down. We up to the odds next week in South Carolina. Okay, we'll be finishing up soon. We're gonna come up with something else good. But boxing in the states, Rhode Island. Lights, camera, action. Okay. Now, but I appreciate everybody that's in here so far. Because like I always say, y'all could be anywhere doing anything else, but I appreciate y'all spending this time with Cash Sports. I hope you enjoy the show today. Now, boxing. Now, Rhode Island has a rich boxing history, with Providence being a hotbed for the sport, featuring venues like the Infantry Hall and Arcadia Ballroom, and producing notable boxers like Vinny Pazienda, the Tasmanian Devil, remember him, who became a world champion, and Rocky Marciano, a favorite of Rhode Islanders. Now, Rocky from Massachusetts, nearby Massachusetts, the Rhode Islanders take him as one of their own. Okay, yeah. Ask any Rhode Island. I think Bruce Cass from Rhode Island. They ask any Rhode Islander, they'll tell you Rocky Marciano ain't from no Massachusetts. He's from Rhode Island. Okay, yeah. But we did him with Massachusetts when we get the boxing of the states. No Rocky. Okay. So I thought he deserved mentioning because they love him so much up there. Now let's talk about Providence, Rhode Island was a big boxing town up there in Rhode Island, a city up there in Rhode Island. Let's talk about that first of all, starting out. Bear with me because, wow, these words are a little, I started to write it last night, but it was a lot. Okay. It's about history. Some boxing in Providence, Rhode Island, okay? Al Booker in the building. What's up, Al Booker? How are you today? Good to see you. Boxing in the States, Rhode Island. And Rhode Island is not going to be, it's going to be kind of a short one. So after Rhode Island, we're going to get back to talking about boxing around the world a little bit more, okay? Of these 13 countries we just talked about, I'm going to give you the best boxers from each of those countries later on in the show. So stick around for that. We're going to talk about some more boxing around the world. But first, Rhode Island. Now, boxing's rich tradition in Providence, Rhode Island started way back in 1890 when George Old Chocolate Godfrey knocked out Patsy Cardiff in the 16th round. Now, Providence was a hot spot for the sweet science at places like the Infantry Hall, Marieville Gardens, Elks Auditorium, Rhode Island Auditorium, Arcadia Ballroom, and the Strand Theater. Now, the first professional top-ranked boxer from Rhode Island was heavyweight Jack Ashton from Providence. Now, Ashton was a sparring partner of the Boston Strong Boy, John L. Sullivan, right? Now, John L. Sullivan, remember, he was the last bare knuckles champion. And when they went to glove boxing, John L. Sullivan was the first glove champion. So last bare knuckles champion and the first glove champion, John L. Sullivan. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna get the boo-boo Al Booker. That's right, he's from Rhode Island. Probably the most famous boxer from the state that I could think of too. Yeah. Got a good female boxer too, Callie Reese. But we're gonna get to that in a little while. Yeah. Jack Ashton used to spar with the Boston Strong Boy, John L. Sullivan. Like I said, the last bare knuckles champion and the first glove champion. Now, Ashton debuted in 1885 and knocked out 28% of his opponents. Then Al Bearcat Schubert of Warren, Rhode Island, was a former New England bantamweight champion. The future featherweight debuted in 1912 and had a career record of 86 wins, 23 losses, and 25 draws. That's a lot of draws. Wow. Now, Paris Apice of Newport, Rhode Island, won the heavyweight national junior AAU belt on April 25th, 1929 in Chicago, right? And the Rhode Island Rhode Island New England International Championships at Chicago in the flyweight division. Now, Peace finished with a record of 66 wins, 54 losses, and 4 draws for his professional career. Also, Providence, Rhode Island's Romeo Johnny Curcio had an undefeated reign as New England welterweight and middleweight champion between 1934 and 1937. Okay, Joey Archibald of Pawtucket attended Providence College before his boxing career took off and once studied for the priesthood. Setting himself up for a title shot on September 12, 1938, he defeated Tony Dupree, former holder of the 1936 USA New England Bantamweight title. And it was a 10-round points decision at Griffith Stadium in Washington, D.C. Okay? Archibald became the National Boxing Association World Featherweight Champion in April of 1939 and finished his career with a record of 60 wins, 42 losses, and 5 draws with 29 knockouts. Okay? Safe to say he wasn't a knockout puncher because he had 107 fights, 29 knockouts. Okay? Ralph the Ripper Zanelli. Okay, that's another good nickname there. Ralph the Ripper. Okay? Ralph the Ripper Zanelli of Providence, Rhode Island held both the New England welterweight and middleweight titles, and he held a record of 115 wins with 30 losses in a career that spanned 20 years. Beginning at the age of 17, Ralph the Ripper, within 3 years, held the lightweight, welterweight, and middleweight Rhode Island amateur titles. Did all that in 3 years. He was a Golden Glove winner in 1936, culminating a 300-fight amateur career. Wow. Well, they got some good nicknames up there in Rhode Island. Tony Tarzan Coster. Tony Tarzan Coster of Woonsocket, Rhode Island, had a career record of 61 wins, 23 losses, and 5 draws as a featherweight. And he beat Joey Archibald on May 10th, 1943 at the Rhode Island Auditorium in a majority decision. Okay, let me check the chat. Yeah, Al Booger, that was the only one I could think of before this morning was Boo Boo too. Before I looked at some boxers from Rhode Island, yeah. Yeah, he's definitely probably the most famous boxer from there at this point. Okay, let's continue. Nobody came in. Music okay? Always seems like it comes up, but I'm not gonna bother it right now. Okay. Now, Larry, I told you about these nicknames in Rhode Island. We had Ralph the Ripper. Now we got Larry Dynamite Bovin. Larry Dynamite Bovin. He was a featherweight from Providence, Rhode Island, from 1939 to 1946. Now, Dynamite had a record of 44 wins, 17 losses, and 2 draws. And lightweight George Araujo, born in the Fox Point neighborhood of Providence, he was the world's #1 ranked lightweight fighter when there was only one world ranking. He was ranked #1. Araujo made his professional debut in July 1948 and immediately began fighting twice a month. Okay, twice a month. That's 24 times a year. A powerful puncher, Araujo won his first 14 professional fights, all by knockout. He finished his career with a record of 58 wins, 9 losses, 1 draw, 33 knockouts. If he's fighting twice a month, how come he only had 68 fights? He must have had a short career. Harold Chubby Gomes from Providence debuted in 1951. He won the World Super Featherweight Championship July 20th, 1959, right? The great heavyweight champion, Rocky Marciano, was 28-0 in Providence, Rhode Island, at the Rhode Island Auditorium. Rocky fought 28 times in Rhode Island and run on 28 of them. No wonder they love him so much. Yeah. Okay. So now, they had this great fight card up there in Rhode Island in 2023. Let's talk about that. So Rhode Island is a short one, and we're going to talk some more about boxing in the world when we finish with Rhode Island. They had this great fight card up there in 2023. Let's touch on that. Okay. If I can find it. Man, let me come out and go back in. Found it just before I started. And there it is. All right, let's talk about that. Got some famous names on here. Some famous sons and grandsons. Listen to this. Okay. This was in 2023. I don't know why I got this light on. I don't need that yet. Okay. Okay. This is the Rhode Island Wars, the next generation. Now, they had this card up there in 2023, right? And it was had a little bit of everything. Great fights, boxing legends, and a surprise guest rounded out another successful night of boxing action presented by promoter Jimmy Birchfield. Promoted a lot of fights up there in Rhode Island. Then the opening contest, welterweight, Calixto Cruz of Springfield, Massachusetts, won a unanimous decision over Kevin Trainer of Denny, Scotland. Cruz improved his record to 2-0. Now the next fight featured the debut of North Providence native Michael Dedino. This was a scheduled 4-round lightweight contest. His opponent was Joel Young, 0-2, from Beltsville, Maryland, down the road from here. Dedino scored a split decision victory. And one of the intriguing components of the night centered around the next generation fighters on the card, okay? Light heavyweight, James Hagler Jr. is the grandson of Marvin Hagler. And Marvin Hagler's son, James, his son, James Hagler Jr., Marvin Hagler's grandson was on the card. I never knew that before yesterday, that Marvin Hagler had a grandson that boxed. But light heavyweight, James Hagler Jr. is the grandson of Marvin Hagler. There was heavy anticipation surrounding his fight. The Hagler came into the fight with a 3-1 record. He took on Leonardo Ladero, who was 2-8 with 2 knockouts. Well, he won 2 and lost 8, but his 2 wins was knockouts. He was from Revere, Massachusetts. That was the guy Hagler was fighting. The Hagler never seemed to get going in this fight. He was knocked out by Ladero in the 3rd round. Definitely not a chip off the old block. Not a chip off the old block. Marvin Hagler's grandson got knocked out in the 3rd round, right? Now check out the next fight. Okay, listen to this. Next up on the card was a junior middleweight fight featuring Roberto Duran Jr. Roberto Duran Jr., the Hands of Stone Jr., right? 11-3, 9 knockouts. He is the son of Roberto Duran. I hope he didn't get knocked out like Hagler's grandson did. His opponent was journeyman Luis Eduardo Flores, who had a record of 26 wins, 27 losses, 21 knockouts. Ooh, he didn't have a bad knockout rate. Roberto Duran's son, please don't get knocked out. I'm figuring out his opponent's knockout rate. He had 27 wins with 26 wins with 21 knockouts. That's not bad at all. 80.7% knockout rate Roberto Duran Jr. was going up against. So let's see what happened. Okay, and his opponent was from Barranquilla, California. Now, Duran Jr. was a heavy favorite in this fight. The crowd was solidly behind this 2nd-generation fighter. And the Hands of Stone Jr. stopped his opponent in the 3rd round, scoring to win. So what happened to him? This is in 2023. I didn't even know until yesterday that Roberto Duran had a son that fought. Now, during the post-fight in-ring interview, Duran was joined by his wife and son. In addition, Duran asked five-time world champion Vinny Pazienza to come into the ring. Paz was sitting at ringside enjoying the fight. Now, years ago, Paz and Roberto Duran Sr. were opponents in the ring, but later became close friends. Now, Duran Jr. had three comments after the fight. He said, "Being here in Rhode Island has been amazing. My wife grew up here. I was surprised by the way everyone welcomed me. It feels like home here. I wasn't expecting to be so well known because of your father, dummy. I was overwhelmed by the love. Your name, Roberto Duran Jr., you're going to be known, okay? I was overwhelmed by the love and support. As for the fight, my plan was to go inside and box him for the first round and then impose my will on him. It didn't turn out like that. Yeah, how can Roberto Duran Jr. think he can go somewhere and not be known? And he a boxer, right? Imagine that. Roberto Duran Jr., a boxer, you ain't going to go nowhere in the world and not be known. People going to see that name and see that Junior. They coming out for that. Now, soon as the bell rung, this is Junior talking. Soon as the bell rung, he tried to impose his will on me early. He was snapping the strong jab. He was throwing the overhand right. I knew the night could turn bad if I let him get his way. That was not going to happen. Instead, I put my foot on the gas. I cranked it 100 times, 100 miles per hour, and took control. I was a lot stronger and a lot faster. He was not going to tire me out. I chopped that tree down. Yeah. Roberto Duran Jr. is a boxer. He know he can't go nowhere in the world and not be known. Now, if he was a cook or a carpenter or something, but a boxer, Roberto Duran Jr., come on, man. You're going to be known. Now, during the intermission, the crowd was surprised and excited by the appearance of Saturday Night Live star Kenan Thompson. The comedian is currently filming the movie Good Burger 2. Now, that was in 2023. Now, another highly anticipated fight had Melanie Costa making her professional debut. Costa fights out of Big Six Boxing in Providence, Rhode Island. Her opponent was Daisy Preston from Manchester, England. Costa has the nickname, the Pit Bull. Wow, the Pit Bull. Now, from the opening bell, everyone in attendance found out exactly why she was given that nickname. She stalked her much taller opponent the entire fight. Costa unleashed a barrage of combinations, knocking Preston down several times during the fight. Now, Costa put Preston on the canvas for good in the second round. The crowd's support for Costa was intense. In addition to being a professional fighter, Costa is a police officer in Norton, Massachusetts. Her family, friends, and rapidly growing fan base cheered the Pit Bull on to an easy victory. Yep. Okay. After the fight, Costa was in high demand for photos and autographs. Okay. Okay, now Kevin Walsh of Brockton, Massachusetts is another fighter making a name for himself. He ran his record to an impressive 9-0 after defeating Marcelo Williams in the ring. And after his fight, Walsh said he is ready to fight any place, anytime. This was met with a round of cheers from the Park Theater crowd. But yeah, that was just a great card up there. And in one half of the co-main event, Wilson Mascarenhas from New Bedford, Massachusetts defeated Benjamin Lampley of Accra, Ghana in a 6-round super lightweight contest. The Mascarenhas was returning to the ring after more than a year off. He was attacked. His injuries were severe, resulting from a stabbing incident. He was told he would not fight again. And last night he proved everyone wrong as he scored the win, right, in his return. In the second half of the main event, Alejandro Paulino beat Jonathan Perez, proving his record at 13-0, and his opponent fell to 40-37. One of the many storylines of this night involved Benny Pazienza. As most Rhode Islanders know, Paz saw Rocky when he was a young boy, and that became his motivation to become a fighter. Yeah. And Paz was at ringside on Saturday night, right? He was sitting at ringside watching the fights in the same building he watched Rocky 50 years earlier. Wow. Isn't that something? But yeah, great night of fights. And yeah, Al Booker, that's another famous one from Massachusetts. Benny Pazienza. I forgot about him, yeah. So that's the main two, Benny Pazienza and Boo Boo Andrade. Okay. So now let's talk about some boxers from Massachusetts. No. Boxers from Rhode Island. Okay, then we're gonna get back to talking about some boxing around the world, like we started out. Yeah. We got we talked about those 13 countries, 13 best countries for boxing and the highlights of boxing history. And after we finish the boxers from Rhode Island, we're gonna look at the best boxer from each of those countries. Okay. Boxers from Rhode Island. Okay. I was messing around with this music. Leave it right there, Cass. Okay, boxers from Rhode Island is next. Okay, and first is Demetrius Andrade. Demetrius Andrade is first. Okay. Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade is a former world champion from Providence, Rhode Island. He's held multiple world championships across 2 weight classes, middleweight and junior middleweight. Now, some consider him one of the most celebrated amateurs in modern U.S. boxing history. As an amateur, Andrade won the U.S. National Championships and Golden Gloves twice each, a gold medal at the 2000 World Championships, and he represented the United States at the 2008 Olympics. Didn't medal, but he represented them at the Games 2008. And it was all that was in the welterweight division, right? And for his career, he's still active. He's had 33 fights so far, 32 wins, 1 loss, 19 knockouts. 1 loss was in his last fight to David Benavidez. He hadn't fought since then, has he? I don't think. But that was his 1 loss, David Benavidez. Ken Saw Love won in the building. And wait for it. Ken Saw Love won in the building. And Jarrell Hattie in the building. I haven't seen him yet, but he's in the building. If Ken Saw Love one is in here, Jarrell Hattie's in here. Salute Ken Saw Love one, a family thing. But they trying to play games with me. Jarrell ain't gonna show up. Okay. But salute Ken Saw Love one. I'm writing Jarrell's name on it anyway, because I know you're gonna be here in a minute. I told you, Jarrell Hattie in the building. Salute, Jarrell. How are you today? We're talking about some boxers from Massachusetts. No. Rhode Island. I don't know why I keep saying Massachusetts. Rhode Island. The salute to Ken Saw Love one and Jarrell Hattie. Good to see y'all today. Yeah, Demetrius Andrade was first. He's probably the most well-known boxer from Rhode Island. Currently 32 wins, 1 loss, 19 knockouts. Only lost to the Mexican Monster. Has he fought since then? I don't think so. That was last year, right? When the Mexican Monster knocked him out. Or was it 23? This time go by so fast, I can't even remember. But I know that was his only loss. Okay, 32-1. That was his second fight at 168 when that happened to him. Yeah. Okay, next boxers from Rhode Island is a female boxer. It's Callie Reese. Callie Reese. It is Callie. Now, Callie is an American professional boxer and actress. She's a former world champion in 2 weight classes, having held the WBC female middleweight title in 2016 and the WBA, WBO, and IBO female junior welterweight titles between 2020 and 2022. Greece also challenged Cecilia Brækhus for the undisputed female welterweight title in 2018. She came up short. Callie Reese is from Providence, Rhode Island, and she has a record of 19 wins, 7 losses, 1 draw, 5 knockouts. I believe her career ended in 2021, right? Yeah, Callie Reese. Bruce Gas, boxing, jazz, and more. Salute from Rhode Island. Salute Rhode Island. Salute Bruce Gas. We're talking about some boxers from Rhode Island now. Demetrius Andrade, Callie Reese, Bruce Gas, boxing, jazz, and more. Salute. Okay. Next, who's next? Who's that? Callie Reese. Callie Reese. Was that Callie Reese? Yeah. Vinny Pazienda is next. Vinny Pazienda. Vinny Paz. Here's Vinny. Here's Vinny Pazienda. He's a former professional boxer, an International Sports Hall of Fame inductee. Paz held world titles at lightweight and junior middleweight, right? Wow, that's a wide range. Is that right? Let me check that. Lightweight and junior middleweight. That don't sound too good, man. I gotta check that. Lightweight and junior middleweight. Let me check something out right quick. Excuse me. It'll take but a second. Vinny Paz. I might have wrote that down wrong. I be doing some of these things at night, nodding off. Let's say lightweight. Let's see if that's right. That sounds kind of a wide range then. Yeah, lightweight and junior middleweight. Yeah, okay. That was right. Yeah, Vinny held world titles at lightweight and junior middleweight. And his career record was 50 wins, 10 losses, 30 wins by knockout. And Pazienda's career was nearly ended in 1991 when a car accident left him with a broken neck, right? And the 2016 film, Bleed for This, is based on his comeback from the injury. And Vinny Paz is from Cranston, Rhode Island. Cranston, okay? Next is Harold Gomes. Harold Gomes. There's Harold Gomes. Yeah. Harold Gomes, okay? Now, Harold Gomes is an American former professional boxer who competed between 1951 and 1963. The highlight of Gomes' career came in 1959 when he won the World Super Featherweight title against Paul Jorgensen. He's from Providence. He also had 50 wins, 10 losses, 24 knockouts. Matt Godfrey. Matt Godfrey. Is a Wampanoag former professional boxer who competed from 2004 to 2012. He challenged for the WBO cruiserweight title in 2010. From Providence, 21 wins, 3 losses, 11 knockouts. Okay? Joey Archibald. Joey. Oh, Gomes was a referee too? Okay. Joey Archibald was an undisputed featherweight boxing champion in April 1939. He was managed by Al Will, and his trainer was the legendary Charlie Goldman, also from Providence. He had 107 fights, won 60, lost 42, 5 draws, 29 by the way of knockout. Joey Archibald. Okay. Gary Belletto. Gary Belletto former American professional boxer. He won 3 lightweight titles in his hometown of Providence, Rhode Island. And Boletto is the New England representative for the Joint Association of Boxers. He had 36 fights. He won 31, lost 3, had 2 draws, 26 knockouts, 83.8% knockout ratio. Not bad. Okay. 83.8% knockout ratio. That's not bad at all. Oh, he's paralyzed now. Tiger Boletto is paralyzed. Bruce Gas. Okay. Get some valuable information from Bruce Gas in there. Wow. What's his name? Gary Tiger Boletto is paralyzed now. Wow. Jason Moses Estrada. Jason Moses Estrada. We're going to talk some more about boxing around the world in a few minutes, too. Now, Jason is an American former professional boxer. He competed from 2004 to 2015. As an amateur, he competed at the 2004 Olympic Games in the super heavyweight division. He also won the gold medal at the 2003 Pan American Games, leading into that Olympics. From Providence, 20 wins, 6 losses, 1 no contest, 6 knockouts. Okay. We got Peter Manfredo Jr. Peter Manfredo Jr. Yeah, Big J. Estrada. Did I get to him yet? Yeah, I just did J, right. Peter Manfredo Jr., right? Okay. He's a former professional boxer and IBO middleweight champion. He competed for upper level world titles at super middleweight and middleweight. And he won the European Boxing Association IBU and NABO junior middleweight titles. Now, Manfredo Jr. is 5'10", and he worked as an electrician between fights. He is challenged for world titles twice, super middleweight and middleweight. Okay, from Providence, had 50 fights in his career. He won 42, lost 7. He had 1 draw and 23 knockouts. And Miguel Cotto. Miguel Angel Cotto Vasquez. He's a Puerto Rican former professional boxer and 4 division world champion. He competed from 2001 to 2017, 16-year career. And he was the first Puerto Rican boxer to win world titles in 4 weight classes. From junior welterweight, junior middleweight, and middleweight. And Cotto was known for his tenacity, courage, and professionalism. And he lost the unanimous decision to Floyd Mayweather Jr. in 2007, right? And in 2009, he reached the peak active pound-for-pound ranking of 7th, and up to 7th by the Ring magazine. And Cotto started out his career as a hard-hitting pressure fighter, but he evolved over the years into a more refined boxer puncher as he moved up in weight. And in 2024, last year, Cotto was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame and Museum, Providence, Rhode Island. He had 47 fights, right? And he won 41 of them, had 6 draws, 33 knockouts, had some pop. 41 fight wins, 33 knockouts, 80.4% knockout ratio for Cotto. Yeah. Now let's talk about some more boxing around the world. Okay. No. We're going to talk about those 13 countries and the best boxer from each of them first. Okay. And Bruce says that Peter works construction now. Okay. He was the electrician, right? Peter Manfredo Jr. Yeah. He works construction now. Bruce Gas know these people personally. Okay. Appreciate you, Bruce Gas. Yeah, in the beginning we talked about 13 countries. The 13 best boxing countries, right? In boxing. And now let's look at some of the best boxers from each one of those countries. The best boxer from each one of those countries. Okay? Yeah, the best boxer from each one of those countries. Okay? Now, let's see. Told you the music keeps coming up on its own. All right. First, we're going to start out with Africa. But they're not exactly the same countries you had in the group. But we got 13 countries, and we're going to tell you the best boxer from each one of them. Okay? The greatest boxers from each country. First, Africa. Okay? And let's see. I got Azuma Nelson. Azuma Nelson. How about Azuma Nelson? Yeah, that's better with the light out. Okay. There's Azuma. Bear with me for a minute. I need my other equipment malfunction. That thing was so big. Yeah, I messed up. Don't be quiet. Okay, Azuma Nelson. Now, Azuma Nelson is a Ghanaian boxing legend and two-weight world champion. He had the WBC featherweight title from 1984 to 1987 and the WBC super featherweight title twice between 1988 and 1997. Now, Nelson competed professionally from 1979 to 2008 and is considered one of Africa's greatest boxers. He was known as a professor for his ability to teach opponents a lesson. Nelson was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2004. Yeah, Azuma Nelson. He won it in 2004. And his career record was he had 47 total fights and he won 39. He lost 6. He had 2 draws, right? And 28 knockouts for Azuma from Africa. Best fighter from Africa. Okay. Next, the best fighter from Australia, Kostya Tszyu. Kostya Tszyu. There's Kostya Tszyu, best fighter from Australia. Kostya Tszyu. How do you spell Kostya? Okay. Now Kostya Tszyu. Oh, come on, man. This thing went back to Azuma Nelson. The Kostya Tszyu is a former Russian-Australian professional boxer, an International Boxing Hall of Fame inductee. He was born in Russia. He became the world junior welterweight champion at the 1991 World Amateur Championships in Sydney, Australia. And he moved to Australia in 1992 and turned professional the following year. Now, between 2001 and 2005, he held multiple junior welterweight world championships, including the lineal and undisputed titles, okay? But it wasn't 4 belt, okay? That was probably 3 belt when Kostya had it. And his final, he ended his career. He had 34 total fights. He won 31, 2 losses, 1 draw, 25 knockouts for Kostya Tszyu, okay? So that's not a bad knockout ratio. 80.6% for cartilage. Okay, 80.6%. Okay, best fighter from Britain, United Kingdom. Go way back. Jimmy Wald. Okay, had to go back a ways to get Jimmy Wald, best fighter from the UK. Touch on Jimmy briefly. Now, William James Wald, also known as the Mighty Atom and the Ghost with the hammer in his hand, he was a Welsh boxer and world flyweight champion from 1916 to 1923. Now, he competed professionally from 1911 to 1923, holding both the National Sporting Club's British flyweight title and the World Flyweight Championship simultaneously. And Wald is widely considered to be the greatest flyweight boxer in history. Yep, Jimmy Wald. Thought of as the greatest flyweight in history. He had a total of 150 fights in his career. He won 137, lost 4. He had 1 draw and 8 no contests. And he won 98 by knockouts. Mr. 100 Knockout Club by 2 fights. Jimmy Wald. Okay? Canada. That's Sam Langford all day long. Best fighter from Canada, Sam Langford. Yep. He also lived in Boston. Sam Langford. Okay. Sam Langford. And I actually had him up. My hand hit something and it disappeared. Come on, Sam. There he is. Sam Edgar Langford, right? He was a Canadian boxing star of the early 20th century. He fought from 1902 to 1923. Of course, weight classes from lightweight to heavyweight. Okay, lightweight to heavyweight. That's 135 to heavyweight. Despite an impressive winning record and 117 knockouts in the 100 Knockout Club, he never received a title shot. Promoters called him the Boston Tar Baby, and he was known for his footwork and punching power. Langford fought in the shadow of Black American heavyweight champion Jack Johnson, who was usually matched against white contenders. Okay, Sam never got a shot. He had the colored heavyweight championship though. Sam did. And Sam had a total of, in his career, 210 fights, okay? Unofficially, because, you know, record was kind of sketchy back then. But he won, he had a total of 314, right? But he won 210. He lost 43. He had 53 draws, 8 no contests, and 126 knockouts. Sam Langford. Wow. Okay. Next, Central America. Best fighter from Central America, the Hands of Stone. Okay, let's talk about the Hands of Stone briefly. Look at his career. Roberto Duran, the Hands of Stone. Roberto Carlos Duran Samaniega. He's a Panamanian Hall of Fame boxer who competed professionally from 1968 to 2001. One of 2 boxers to compete in 5 decades. Jack Johnson was the other. Competed in 5 decades. Known as Manos de Piedras or Hands of Stone. Duran won world championships in 4 weight classes: lightweight, welterweight, junior middleweight, and middleweight. He was known for his punching power and threw and landed more punches than his opponents, with a 35% success rate. The Hands of Stone, okay? And in his career, the Hands of Stone had a total of 119 fights. He won 103 of them, lost 16, 70 by way of knockout. The Hands of Stone, okay? Next country is Cuba. Best fighter for Cuba, Kid Chocolate, okay? I didn't even change it. Wow, there's the Hands of Stone right there. I'm sorry. I didn't even change it. Hands of Stone. Best fighter from Cuba, Kid Chocolate. Kind of small. I got the worst size in here, so I ain't straining nobody's been worse than I'm straining mine. But Kid Chocolate, okay? Best fighter from Cuba. Go back to the old days. Kid Chocolate. Okay? How you spell chocolate? Well, I put in Kid and he came up. I don't know how. I had him up before though. Now, Eligio Sardinas Montalvo. His real name was Eligio Sardinas Montalvo. That's what I said. He was a successful Cuban boxer known in the ring as Kid Chocolate. From the late 1920s to the late 1930s, his professional boxing career spanned from 1927 to 1938. Known for his generosity to children, Chocolate finished his career with a record of 136 wins, 10 losses, 6 draws, 51 by knockout, only being stopped twice in fights. Some consider him the greatest Cuban boxer ever. I do. Kid Chocolate. Okay? We're looking at some of the best boxers from these 13 countries. Japan. Not Monster. The Fighting RHOD. Okay? The Fighting RHOD. Fighting RHOD. Not Naoya anyway. Okay? Talk about the Fighting RHOD. His name was Masahiko Harada, better known as the Fighting RHOD, a Japanese former professional boxer. He's a world champion in 2 weight classes, having held the New York State Athletic Commission, WBA, and the Ring Undisputed Flyweight titles from 1962 to 1963, and the WBA, WBC, and the Ring Undisputed Bantamweight titles from 1965 to 1968. Okay, and the Fighting RHOD had a total of 63 fights in his career. He won 56, lost 7, and 56 by knockout. Okay, so let's see what that knockout rate is. 56 knockouts with 63 fights. That's pretty good. 88.8%. So 89%. Okay. Next fighter. Next country. Mexico. JCC. Oh man, I keep forgetting to change it. There's a Fighting Geraldo right there. From Mexico, JCC, Julio Cesar Chavez. There he is. Next fighter out of Mexico. Julio Cesar Chavez. A legend. Found out yesterday him and his son was in the father-son World Championship Club. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Junior had the title, had the middleweight title. Yes, he did. But JCC, be with me for a moment. We got some more on world boxing too after this. Okay. Okay, JCC, briefly. Ain't trying to bore y'all. I keep messing it up, man. So there's JCC. Julio Cesar Chavez Gonzalez, okay? Also known as Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. He's a retired Mexican boxer and multiple-time world champion. Now, the Ring magazine named him the world's top pound-for-pound boxer from 1990 to 1993. Should have been paying attention to the chat. Chavez is known for his impressive winning streak with 107 wins and only 6 losses in his career. He was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 2011. Man, I'm done. I didn't miss anybody coming in. Okay. I thought I was fired for sure. I looked at the chat in about 15 minutes. Okay. After Mexico, the Philippines. Okay. Best boxer for the Philippines is Flash Elorday. There's Flash Elorday. Now, Gabriel Flash Elorday was a Filipino professional boxer. He won the linear super featherweight title in 1960. In 1963, he won the inaugural WBC and WBC super featherweight titles. He holds the record at super featherweight division for the longest title reign spanning 7 years. Okay, and for his career, Flash Elorday had 89 wins, 27 losses, 2 draws, and 33 knockouts. Okay, then we come to Puerto Rico, and the best fighter out of Puerto Rico, Wilfredo Gomez. Okay, Wilfredo Gomez. Yes, that's a lot of good choices for Puerto Rico. Wilfredo Gomez, Miguel Cotto, Tito Trinidad, but Wilfredo is a good choice. Now, Wilfredo Gomez, Rivera also. Wait with me for a minute. Also known as Bazooka Gomez, is a and I keep on doing this. He's a former professional boxer and 3-time world champion from Puerto Rico. Many consider him to be the greatest Puerto Rican fighter of all time and one of boxing's hardest punchers, Wilfredo Gomez. And in his career, he had a total of 48 fights. He got a hellacious knockout rate. He won 44, only lost 3, had 1 draw, 42 knockouts. Only 2 people went the distance with him in his entire career of 44 fights. Incredible. Only 2 people went the distance with him. 95.4% knockout ratio for Bazooka Gomez. Just got a couple more. South Boxer, Ida Jaffer. I guess I'm saying that wrong, but there he is. Best boxer from South America. Okay. And here he is. Now, he was a Brazilian professional boxer, an architect who was both bantamweight and featherweight world champion. He is considered by many to be the greatest bantamweight boxer of all time. Okay? And he had a total of 78 fights in his career. He won 72, lost 2, 4 draws, 50 knockouts. Thailand. Kosai Galaxy is considered the best fighter from Thailand. There's Kosai Galaxy. Kosai Galaxy. Best fighter out of Thailand. Anybody know how to spell Kosai? or Galaxy. I managed it. The Kosai Galaxy is a Thai former professional boxer and Muay Thai fighter who competed between 1980 and 1991. He held the WBA super flyweight title between November 1984 and December 1991. Okay, and Galaxy competed in 48 total fights, 47 wins, 41 knockouts, 1 draw. Okay. Get back over here, calculator. 41 knockouts and 47 fights. 87.2% knockout ratio. And finally is the United States, the good old US of A. And of course, y'all know who it is. I ain't gotta say it. Best fighter from the United States. Walker Ray Robertson, better known as Sugar Ray Robertson. Sugar Ray Robertson. Then I got some more on some boxing around the world we're going to talk about today in a moment. Sugar Ray Robertson, born Walker Smith Jr. I don't know where I got Walker Ray Robertson from. Walker Smith Jr. was an American professional boxer from 1940 to 1965, 25 years. I knew a Walker was in there somewhere, Walker Smith Jr. He's often regarded as the greatest pound-for-pound boxer of all time. And in December 2024, BoxRec ranked him as such, greatest pound-for-pound boxer of all time. Robinson was known for his speed, skill, and knockout ability. He defeated fellow Hall of Famers like Jake LaMotta, Carmen Basilio, and homicide Henry Armstrong. A newspaper reporter once described Sugar Ray Robertson as sweet as sugar, which led to his nickname. Okay? And let's look at his record right quick. And we're going to talk about some more boxing around the world. Okay? Now, Sugar Ray, he's in the 100, as good as he was, also in the 100 knockout club. 201 total fights, 174 wins, 19 losses, 6 draws, 109 knockouts. As good as he was in everything else he did, in the 100 knockout club also. Incredible. Now let's look at some more boxing around the world, okay? I'll give you some information here. Okay, I knew that's ready. Come on, man. It is. I was getting ready to throw this phone out the window, but I found it. Miss Cass would have killed me because I think she bought it. Okay. Now, which region currently dominates boxing? Which region of the world currently dominates boxing? Okay, let's talk about that. Okay. Now, only fanboys forget that the United States is still the mecca of boxing. No other country has more top-ranked pros and amateurs than the United States, okay? Even though the heavyweights have been bare as other sports take all the great athletes. Yeah, most 6'4", 6'5", 230, 240, 250-pound guys want to play linebacker in the NFL now, okay? Yeah, the heavyweight, the cupboard is bare, but the United States still dominate, okay? Don't let nobody tell you different. Now, Fight Nomad says, the United States is without a doubt at the very pinnacle of the sport. With so many amateur world-class athletes, it is no wonder the country's professional ranks have grown to become world beaters. To this day, the most prestigious titles and fights take place within the United States borders. Yeah, Turkey out of Sheik trying something over there in Saudi Arabia, but Las Vegas, Barclays, California, Arizona putting on some great fights, Texas, United States is still the place, okay, where the biggest fights occur. Okay, let's continue. According to Fight Nomad, the most impressive and dominant boxing countries in the world are the United States, Mexico, the UK, Cuba, Russia, the Philippines, Japan, Ukraine, Ireland, and Germany. Okay? Now, measuring population against champions, produced, and other metrics, Fight Club ranks the United States as #1 in boxing, boxers, and programs. Now, BoxRec has a writer who has determined the top boxing countries by adding up the BoxRec ratings of 20 best fighters per country and determining which countries were ranked highest. No surprise to anyone but fanboys, the United States remains #1. United States, Mexico, same countries, United Kingdom, Russia, Japan, Ukraine, Philippines, Cuba, South Africa, Argentina. Okay? Now, everyone knows how weak the U.S. heavyweights are. Again, as before he passed away, Emanuel Stewart noted when he discussed how the best heavyweights were starting to be foreign born, right? Right around the time Manny Stewart passed. That was when, we hadn't had a heavyweight for like 10, 15 years around that time. Now, Stewart set up today's bigger heavyweight fighters. They are nowhere near as skilled as the old fighters. All the good big men are in the NFL or the NBA. That is so true. Stewart went on to say that the money is so good in the NBA and NFL, which have medical coverage and a good pension plan to boot. Boxing has neither, right? The fighters, like American fighters, like Foreman and Liston, would today be in other sports if they fought right now. They probably wouldn't even be boxers. They probably would be linebackers or defensive linemen or something, right? But that is not true in some of the lower divisions, right? Some of the lower divisions. They ain't big enough for the NBA or NFL, okay? But the long-term health of boxing in the entire civilized world is in question. Let's talk about the health of boxing. Now, long-term health of boxing is affected because all boxers suffer brain injury. All boxers. Some to more serious than others, but all boxers. According to very reputable studies by highly regarded British researcher, Dr. A.H. Roberts, any fighter who fights professionally has a 100% chance of having brain trauma. 100% chance. But that trauma is not necessarily disabling, nor is it certain to develop into dementia. Now, fighters' chances of developing dementia pugilistica are approximately 17 out of 100 if the figure is consistent with the general population of boxers holds true for him. And that's, dementia pugilistica, DP, or also called chronic traumatic brain injury, CTBI, and chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE, right? CTE. That's what we call that one, CTE. So we're talking about dementia pugilistica, CTBI, or CTE. They're basically the same thing. Now, according to a retrospective randomized study by Dr. Roberts regarding CTBI among ex-boxers competing in Great Britain, all boxers that were tested had evidence of chronic brain injury, and approximately 17% had symptoms consistent with dementia pugilistica, which was believed to have been the result of repetitive concussive and or subconcussive head traumas. generally over the course of many years. Okay? Generally over the course of many years. That's right, Alberga. Punch drunk. In other words, all boxers had some evidence of chronic trauma, and 17 boxers out of 100 suffered dementia as a direct result of fighting. And the key appears to be left hook time during which repetitive concussive and subconcussive blows to the head were suffered. And the problem is the permanent trauma the head blows bring. How much impairment do boxers suffer? It depends on the individual, how long they fought, how many blows they took, and a host of factors. But one thing is certain, beyond any reasonable doubt, as Dr. Max Hyatella says, the more you get punched in the head, the greater the possibility of long-term damage, period. But what about the effects of boxing over time? Okay? What about the effects of boxing over time? Now, what is the truth about boxing, blows to the head, and cognitive impairment? Now, the cumulative effect of head blows in boxing is vicious. One highly regarded scientific study by the Mild Traumatic Brain Injury Committee, National Football League, and published in the U.S. National Library of Medicine, National Institute of Health Search database, addresses impact biomechanics from boxing punches causing translational and rotational head acceleration. Now, Olympic boxers threw 4 different punches at an instrumented hybrid 3 dummy, and responses were compared with laboratory reconstructed NFL concussions. The head injury criteria, or HIC, for boxing punches was lower than for NFL concussions because of shorter duration acceleration. Now, boxers deliver punches with proportionately more rotational than translational acceleration than in football concussion. Okay? So, an Olympic boxers deliver punches with high impact velocity but lower HIC and translational acceleration than in football impact because of a lower effective punch mass. Interestingly, the hook produced the highest change in hand velocity and greater punch force. The hook, with average neck load, caused head, translational, and rotational acceleration. Let me get past that. Now, in other words, what this is saying is an Olympic class amateur boxer throwing a hook matches any blunt force trauma of a full body NFL impact. A professional boxer, especially a heavyweight hooker such as Mike Tyson, would vastly exceed NFL full body impact with a single left hook. Let's stop and think about that. One hook from someone like Mike Tyson is more damaging than a full body collision from a 300-pound NFL player launching himself at your head. One hook from someone like Mike Tyson is more damaging than a full body collision from a 300-pound NFL player launching himself at your head. One hook is more damaging than that, man. Wow, that's crazy. And over time, this condition has been called dementia pugilistica, right? Chronic traumatic brain injury, and the other one, CTE. Okay, let's get to the chat. Al Booker says, damn, hold up. You said a middleweight hook is the same as a full contact NFL hit. No, this is, okay, listen. It says, a hook from someone like Mike Tyson is more so probably a heavyweight. A hook from someone like Mike Tyson is more damaging than a full body collision from a 300-pound NFL player launching himself at your head. So a heavyweight with the punching power of a Mike Tyson or a Wilder, somebody like that, you know, any heavyweight really, a hook from them is more damaging than a full body collision from a 300-pound NFL player launching himself at your head. And the lower weight class is probably not too much different, you know. It's still very damaging, Al Booker. So yeah, a middleweight probably is still very damaging, you know. Still very damaging. That is crazy, ain't it? And remember, Dr. Roberts' research, 17 boxers out of 100 suffered dementia as a direct result of fighting. 17 out of 100. That's a lot. 17 out of 100. Now, the longer you box, the more blows you take in sparring or in fights, the worse the damage is. Yeah, that's insane, ain't it? But still, you're right, Al Booger. From the lower weight classes, probably is not too much less damaging, you know? Because for Mike Tyson was equal to like a 300-pound player hitting you. But you think of a safety or something that weighed like what, 210, 215? It's probably equivalent to like a middleweight or junior or welterweight or somebody hitting you with that hook. So yeah, boxing is a rough sport. So that's why I don't like when I hear people call these people bums and cab drivers and stuff, man, because they are really putting themselves in danger for our entertainment, man. And you know, it takes a different type of person to go up the steps of climbing the ropes. I would never have done it. I would never have been no boxer. No way. I couldn't do it. I ain't ashamed to admit it. It takes a special person, and I'm not one of them people. I would not get in there. No. No way. But yeah, 17 out of 100 fighters suffer dementia as a direct result of boxing. The longer you box, the more blows you take in sparring or fights, the worse the damage is. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. Al Booker says he read, what's up, Technique? Technique in the building. What's up, Technique? We just talking about some of the damage and stuff we get from the sport to wind down because Rhode Island ran a little short. Okay, but Al Booker says he read around 13 to 18 boxers get killed every year. And, you know, we don't even hear about them, you know? Think about all the injuries, like you say, the deaths and stuff we don't even hear about that happens from the sport, you know? Yeah. But now let's continue. Now, one might think that a defensive master like Floyd Mayweather, for instance, is less likely than most to develop pugilistic dementia. But that does not factor in the ferocious sparring sessions he engaged in at Mayweather gym. And it does not factor in that the critical factor appears to be length of time fighting. The longer one fights, the worse the trauma and greater likelihood of debilitating damage. Okay? So we're not just talking about actual fights in the ring. We figuring sparring and all that into it too. You know, you got to figure sparring in. Because sometimes sparring is worse than the fights. You know? Yeah. So the fighter generally regarded as the ultimate defensive fighter, the finest of all time, Willie Pep. Now listen to this. Okay. Talking about how we thought now one might think that it was just talking about how you might think that a defensive fighter like a Floyd is less likely, but listen to this. Willie Pep, thought of as arguably the greatest defensive fighter of all time. Willie Pep died of pugilistic dementia. He was one of the greatest defensive fighters of all time. He died from it, okay? So being a defensive fighter does not eliminate you from that damage. I say it again, Willie Pep, one of the top defensive fighters of all time, died from pugilistic dementia. Think about that, okay? Just think about, that puts it in perspective. Can't say that enough. Willie Pep one of the finest defensive fighters of all time, died from punches to the head. Okay? So yeah, it's a very dangerous sport, man. Now, according to the American Medical Association, up to 40% of ex-boxers have been found to have symptoms of chronic brain injury. 40%, that's a high number right there. 40%, wow. That's almost half of all ex-boxers. 40% have been found to have symptoms. Not saying they have full-blown pugilistic dementia, but found to have symptoms of it. 40%. That's a high number, man. Most of these boxers, about 60%, have relatively mild symptoms, but about 15 to 20% suffer severe progressive impairment. Recent studies have shown that almost all professional boxers have some degree of brain damage, even those without symptoms. I'm going to read that again. Recent studies have shown that almost all professional boxers have some degree of brain damage, even those without symptoms. And it says all, okay? Not 20%, not 80%, almost all, even those without symptoms. So stop calling these guys bums and cab drivers and stuff. They're just getting in there is enough to get my respect. Now, head guards and protective gear do not mitigate the risks of boxing, okay? Head guards and protective gear do not mitigate the risks of boxing. Yeah, it's saying something, ain't it, our brother? And it says head guards and protective gear do not even mitigate the risk, right? A study published in Frontiers of Public Health, published on July 21st, 2014 by the Maryland State Athletic Commission, right? Attempted to measure cognitive impairment in amateur boxers who use protective headgear from head trauma. Among professional boxers, the majority of injuries occur in the facial area, 51%. Additional areas of injury include the hands, eyes, and nose, right? The evidence from both amateur and professional settings suggested that boxers may suffer from acute cognitive impairment post-injury. Areas of dysfunction noted include delayed memory, information processing, and verbal fluency, right? Verbal, that's a big one there, verbal fluency, because you look at a lot of them, man. Like, look at Tommy Hearns and Joe Frazier. At the end of his life, Joe Frazier's speech was so bad, it almost spoke like, sounded like he was talking in a foreign language. Like he had an accent. Like he was speaking English with an accent. That's how bad Joe Frazier was, okay? Anybody hear Joe Frazier toward the end of his life, how he talked? That was from boxing. It was like he was talking with an accent, man. Yeah, he was bad. All of those former boxers. Listen to Larry Holmes. It's none of them not as severe as Ali, but they all got that little thing in their speech. You can hear it. You listen to them talk. Hearns is pretty bad. Your Hearns is pretty bad. When you looking at Tommy Hearns in an interview or something now, you got to really concentrate on what he's saying. You know, you got to really look at him hard and concentrate to understand what he's saying, man. That's from boxing. Yeah, a dangerous sport, but we love it. So, you know, but we just got to respect these fighters more, man. Stop with the bums and the cab drivers and all that kind of stuff, man, because, you know, these guys are really putting a lot at risk. Their life, right? And even if not their life, man, you know, the speech, they suffering brain injuries. But yeah, some of the things, verbal fluency and spatial and mathematical processing, okay? And this one doctor also found significant slowing in simple and choice reaction time among a group of amateur boxers, right? And they just fighting what, 3 rounds? They haven't even reached the ranks where they fighting 10, 12 rounds. This was amateur boxing. This doctor found a significant slowing in simple intuitive reaction time in amateur boxing. Hasn't even got to the professional level yet, right? Now, another study by the American Academy of Neurology in 2007. This study found, 350. Now, this study found blows to the head in amateur boxing, despite protective headgear, caused brain damage, according to research that presented at the American Academy of Neurology's 59th annual meeting in Boston, even with headgear, okay? Even with headgear. Wow, it's crazy. And listen to this. They did a study, and they came up with the belief that more damage is done to boxers neurologically from sparring than from actual fights. More damage is done to boxers neurologically from sparring than from actual fights. Let that sink in. More brain trauma, long-term damage is done to fighters sparring than in actual fights. Wow. From sparring. That's understandable though, because in sparring sometimes you're working on stuff, and whereas in a fight, like a defensive fighter in a fight, going to get out of there and be more defensive. He working on stuff in sparring. He might stand in there and take more blows, right? Because he working on things. Because like they said, for instance, Boots had a drill up there. I forgot who told me this. It might have been Jay Hardcore. He said Boots had a drill up there in Philly where he had to stand there and take punches. He wasn't allowed to throw. The only way he could get out of the way the punches was try to dodge them. He wasn't allowed to throw punches back, okay? Or block them with his hands. So, yeah. More damage is done to fighters in sparring than in actual fight. Well, boxers are more at risk of brain damage when sparring during training than in actual fights because of the amount of sheer hours spent sparring. Because you spend a lot more time sparring than the actual fight. And you get less breaks in sparring. You might spar for 5 minutes. With a fight, you're going to get that break after every 3 minutes. But sparring, it might not be like that, right? You might be in there more time sparring. And it says more damage is done when sparring than doing actual fights because the amount of sheer hours spent sparring and the cumulative effects of it, according to a research study by an Australian doctor. Yeah, that's news to me though. More damage is done during sparring. It appears all too many fighters and trainers are too old school and tough about possible brain trauma, concussions in sparring sessions. Think about the sheer number of hours fighters spend sparring as opposed to in actual fights. That's what I was just talking about. And this is exactly and precisely why more neural trauma occurs during sparring than real fight. Yeah, think about that. Think about the sheer number of hours fighters spend sparring as opposed to in actual fights. And this is exactly and precisely why more trauma occurs during sparring than real fights. And there is no ring doctor present during sparring and no mandated sit-outs for suspected concussions, right? Examination, treatment of any suspected trauma must be by qualified physicians and medical experts to prevent permanent harm or even death, whether in sparring or in actual fights. There you have it. Wow. Okay, let's get ready to get out of here. Okay. Now Booker says, Hearns is bad, man. And Cordell Booker has noticeably slurred speech too. Irayo, yeah. And a lot of MMA guys in other contact sports have gone away from brutal sparring. Some don't even really do moderate sparring, light sparring at the most. See, that's what boxing need to get to too, But they don't have any kind of rules or something. Like, NFL training camps and stuff, they have rules as to the amount of hours and the amount of hitting and stuff they can do. Yeah, the NFL office have rules on that, but boxing don't have no kind of guidelines or nothing. They just can do whatever they want to do, you know? Yeah. Because I remember the Ravens, John Harbaugh, they used to have brutal practice until those rules came down. I think it was like the 2007s, 8s around in there. And yeah, they had to lighten up on those practices. Yeah. And the NFL have rules and guidelines on the amount of hitting and stuff you can do, hours you can practice. Boxing has nothing like that. You can go all out for as long as and whatever you want to do. Mm-hmm. So they need to get on that, man, because yeah, it's already a dangerous sport, and to not have any kind of guidelines and rules and stuff for the people's safety, it's crazy, man. They don't start worrying about your safety and stuff till the fight when they see you getting banged on, then they stop it. But what about don't nobody stop sparring when somebody taking too much punishment? You know? So it's really crazy. But I appreciate everybody that came through today. Tomorrow is going to be the life and career of Sergey Kovalev. Find your resume. But he fought in that period, you know, where everybody, you know, these sides of the street nonsense and all that wasn't as big back then. And a lot more big names fought big names back in that period. And yeah, we're going to talk about him tomorrow. Sergey Kovalev. Just Do Boxing in the building. Coming up in a few minutes. As a matter of fact, what's up, Just Do? Yeah, we get ready to get on up out of here. But I hope everybody enjoyed the show today. And join me tomorrow for the life and career of Sergey Kovalev, okay? Just Do Boxing, Technique, Bruce Gas Boxing, Jazz, and more. The Real Hattie, Kensaw Love 1, Al Booger, Crush the Legend, Mike Rim, Mike Massey, Miss Cass. Appreciate all your input today too, Al Booger, 1,000%. Okay, be back tomorrow. Life and career of Sergey Kovalev. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian bringing you all that boxing history. Just Do Boxing is straight ahead. This is Cass Sports. Appreciate y'all 1,000%. Everybody have a great afternoon. I will see y'all around those JBT streets.